Hey, so in the last video, I was talking about the elimination diet and everything I've had to overcome and figure out with that. And one of the biggest things that you have to do when you're on the elimination diet or any specific diet for like a legitimate reason, and not that just being healthy and whatnot isn't a legitimate reason, but mine's for eczema. So and anxiety. I've learned that it's also probably contributing to my anxiety issues too. But I hope the breeze isn't bothering the microphone too bad, y'all. Um, but one of the biggest things you have to do, one of the most important things you have to do to uh, positively, successfully do all of this elimination diet and whatnot, is reading labels. That is the biggest thing. We could preach all day long about how you should just eat fruits and veggies that you got in the produce, and you should only shop in the produce section, or better yet, you should only shop in the farmer's market. And but let's be realistic. This day and age, we're not all wanting to do that, or gonna do that, or whatever. So the next best thing is to learn how to read labels. When you're at the grocery store, everything you pick up, you need to look at the label. And when you're doing an elimination diet or a specific eliminating diet, so like if you're eliminating soy or if you're eliminating gluten or dairy, the FDA mandates that the food industry label their products with the main food allergens that are in that product. Okay, so if it contains soy, dairy, or gluten, they have to label that it contains soy, dairy, or gluten. It has to say contains soy, and most of them, it has to like stand out, so you're not having to read all of the ingredients and learning all of the aliases that dairy or soy or whatever go by. It states it plainly on the labels if it's in there, so that makes things a lot easier for us. It's usually at the ingredient list on the back. You have the nutrition facts, and then you have the ingredients are usually right up under it or right next to it, and it'll say all the ingredients, and it'll either be bolded if it's soy in the ingredients, or it'll at the very bottom of the ingredient list it'll say contains soy, wheat, gluten, whatever. And those aren't the only ones that they label. Those are the big ones. Those are the main ones. Those are the ones that are definitely going to be labeled. But it's also eggs are a common one I've seen. That's really the biggest. Those four right there are the ones you're going to notice the most. As far as like other things go, like I don't know, like chocolate or processed sugar or beef, processed meats, everything else are pretty easy to know if it's in it or not, because common sense wise you pretty well can see and notice and whatnot. But when we're eating these processed foods to begin with that aren't great for us, we need to try to cut it down to when you're looking at the ingredient list, the rule of thumb is 5 or less ingredients are what you want. Anything more than that, you're going to get into the harmful chemicals and the with the, what do you call them, the things that keep the shelf life longer. What's the word? Preservatives. The preservatives and the additives and the coloring and those kinds of things. Don't be fooled by greenwashing, which is where they label things to make it look healthy, to make you think it's healthy, but when you actually read the ingredients and all that, then you realize, oh, it's actually not as healthy as it's trying to play off like it is. like natural flavors. They'll put natural flavors in big bold letters under the title or something of a box of protein bars. And natural flavors is a blanket term where they can be very lenient with what is in it. So just because it's natural flavoring doesn't mean that it's healthy or good for you or anything like that. Technically, sugar is natural, but we all know that, well, most of us know that that's not the greatest thing that we should be consuming. But yeah, so read your labels of everything. It only takes a second because they've made it really easy for you. And try to opt for more produce when you can, if you can. I have a few things on how to make that a little bit easier. And I also have on my Body Buddha course directory thing, community, which you can find under courses on the website, earthandwater.co. I have a list of seasonal eating lists, which are, I'm going to cover in another video about why you should be eating seasonally, but that's going to help you figure out what you should be eating depending on what month it is. And that'll tell you about what you're getting in the farmer's market and stuff. But yeah, I have something in my eye. I'm going to go see if I can get that out and read your labels.